Just ahead on CTV News, an elementary school teacher is facing sexual abuse charges. Plus,
what happens when poor air quality and hot temperatures mix? I'm Bryce Parker. We'll have the answer for you later on CTV News.
And a city in the county takes part in a centennial celebration. Those stories and more coming up next on CTV News.
For August 28th, I'm Michaela Newton. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, just 2 days into the new school year for Prince George's County, an elementary school teacher was arrested and charged with child sexual abuse. Now today, the man appeared before a judge. Mariah Gillette is outside the courtroom with more.
It's every parent's worst nightmare, and especially not what families want to be hearing in the first week of school. A Prince George's County elementary school teacher charged with sexual abuse of a former student, a 9-year-old girl. Today, a judge ruled 44-year-old Mark Cobb will be held without bond for charges related to his communications with the girl, his former student at Cooper Lane Elementary in Landover Hills. Cobb allegedly began texting the girl through an online video game in June 2023. And in the 14 months since that time, he asked for and received sexually inappropriate photos of the student and asked her to engage in sexual acts with him. Prince George's police say they became aware of the allegations on Sunday and served a search warrant for Cobb's Bowie apartment on Monday. Court documents say there, investigators found hundreds of computer files depicting child sexual abuse material on a hard drive, some depicting children engaging in sex acts with adults. Police say they even found a black bag containing children's underwear, several appearing to be worn. This case has deeply affected the community. Even County Council Chairwoman Jolene Ivey was in the courtroom today.
I'm so outraged. I'm so disgusted by what this man apparently did. I know he's innocent till proven guilty, but it does not look good. I saw the charging documents. It's disgusting. Okay? And when parents send their children to our schools, they're expecting them to be safe and cared for and taught, not deceived and groomed and abused.
Now, the principal of Cooper Lane Elementary School released a statement saying the school is fully cooperating with investigators and counselors are available to speak with students and staff that need help processing this disturbing information. From Upper Marlboro, Mariah Gillette, CTV News.
All right, Mariah, thanks so much. Well, detectives say they have not discovered any more victims at the school, but anyone with information on the case is asked to call 301-772-4930 or submit an anonymous tip through Crime Solvers. And last week might have felt like fall weather was just around the corner, but this week is definitely cranking up the heat, and it's not just the temperatures we're dealing with. There are other weather challenges on the horizon. CTV's Bryce Parker is in Upper Marlboro with more.
If you were one of the people last week who were wondering, why does it not feel like summer? Well, you might be wishing you had a time machine right about now, because temperatures are back in the 90s and we are expecting to have a heat index that reaches in the triple digits by the end of the day. But the hot temperatures aren't just our only problem. The region is experiencing code orange air quality. The alert issued by the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments went into effect yesterday, and a code orange is where we start to see some trouble for sensitive groups. People who have respiratory issues, small children and teenagers, and older adults are some of the people that should take extra precaution. People who spend extended periods of time outdoors working are also at an added risk. Now, PGCPS has already canceled all of our outdoor after-school activities for the rest of the day. Today, we'll be expecting the last day of poor air quality, but we aren't out the woods yet. Feels like temperatures will be in the 90s for the rest of the week, and we compare that with dry conditions that will lead us into the holiday weekend. From Upper Marlboro, I'm Bryce Parker, CTV News.
And you can definitely feel that change in the weather today. Bryce, thanks so much. Remember to always stay hydrated, take plenty of breaks in the shade when going outside, and also wear light colored clothing that is loose fitting. Well, Montgomery County Police have identified 2 juveniles responsible for making bomb threats to schools in May. A 15-year-old Bethesda Chevy Chase High School student is charged in connection to bomb threats made against the school on May 16th. Now, the FBI uncovered that the teenager used social media to get help from a 12-year-old boy from Pennsylvania. Now, both boys are also responsible for bomb threats at Walt Whitman High School and Bethesda Elementary on May 17th. The 15-year-old is being charged with threats of mass violence, making false statements, and other felony-related charges. And the latest polls in the race for Maryland's U.S. Senate seat show Larry Hogan and Angela Alsobrooks in a dead tie, closer than many analysts predicted. The AARP poll released Tuesday shows Alsobrooks and Hogan tied with 46% of the vote each, with only 7% undecided. Now, while the poll shows both candidates were viewed favorably by voters, Hogan was better known. Alsobrooks has a lead among Democrats, but Hogan has a more than 20-point advantage with independent voters. Now, the poll is setting the stage for the next 70 days leading up to voters casting their ballots and what's sure to be a heated fall campaign season. And last night, over 850 Maryland women joined a virtual event to rally in support for Kamala Harris, Angela Alsobrooks, and other Democratic women on the ballot. Lieutenant Governor Aruna Miller, First Lady Dawn Moore, and Comptroller Book Learman were just a few of those attendees. Alsobrooks joined the call from the campaign trail.
I don't know about you, but I feel more energized every day because I recognize that we have the opportunity, the real opportunity to make a decision about the kind of country that we will build for our children and grandchildren and the kind of state that we will leave to our children. And in this moment where the choices could not be any clearer.
And the event successfully raised over $70,000. Well, a local church hosts a free expungement clinic. The sanctuary at Kingdom Square in Upper Marlboro opened its doors this morning to dozens of people looking to clear their criminal records. Lawyers with Maryland Legal Aid provided one-on-one assistance to clients who were eligible for expungement, such as those with cannabis-related charges. Exelon Corporation was one of those sponsors.
We know that Maryland has a big initiative through the Governor Moore administration to pardon a lot of folks, especially related to the cannabis conviction. And this expungement is the next step in that, ensuring that we get those type of convictions deleted from their record. So we have our legal attorneys from both PEPCO as well as Baltimore Gas and Electric here supporting our community, supporting our residents, no cost to them, helping to get their record expunged. It's so significant because we know that records can hold you back from jobs, career development opportunities, and just an overall sense of community because you have something that you may not be proud of that can be traced and documented to your past. And so for us, this is a way to give our community a new start.
And attendees were also able to receive information about potential career opportunities. Well, the question of whether the replacement for the Francis Scott Key Bridge will be fully federally funded or if Maryland will need to contribute 10% is still up in the air. However, a $350 million insurance payout from Chubb, the Key Bridge's insurer, is already in, according to an article from the Baltimore Sun. Now, the Maryland Transportation Authority says this money will help cover cleanup and the cost of rebuilding the bridge, which is set to reopen in October of 2028 with an estimated price tag of $1.7 billion. And Maryland State Board of Education is considering changes to a controversial literacy plan that would hold third graders back who don't read at grade level. Now, the comprehensive K-3 literacy policy was proposed to the state board by the Maryland State Department of Education. The plan would hold third graders back from the fourth grade if they did not read at grade level. However, a new revision in the policy would allow parents to advance their child to the fourth grade, even if they didn't meet the state's reading standard. Now, according to reports, parents would have to agree to additional education support for their child. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Michaela Newton. Still to come, Maryland's oldest HBCU has a new center. CTV's Katera Jones is on campus with more.
After years of construction, a new state-of-the-art building opens up on the campus of Bowie State University. I'm Katera Jones. I'll have all those details coming up on CTV News.
So a question we get a lot is, how does exploitation happen? Almost always in the online environment, it starts with a meeting place. In essence, an adult predator, an adult offender, meets a child in some online platform and begins a relationship with them.
When predators are targeting a child, they're most likely going to go after the most accessible child that they have to them. They're going to go after somebody that doesn't have those privacy settings in place, whose information is completely out in the open.
So they'll look at their social media, they'll look at their school, they'll look at the pictures they're posting. Some of the kids will put the year that they graduate, or they'll put, the sports activities that they're in.
They will either befriend this child or become part of their friends lists or become part of their contacts and followers. And so that's a huge vulnerability for these young ones, is trying to defeat that idea that everyone that they meet online is who they say they are.
Challenges, uncertainty, they shape our modern world. But one force stands ready to answer our call, to fight and win the nation's wars, to defend the homeland, to build strategic partnerships, always ready, always there.
Welcome back, and exciting news for the community. Mount Rainier is part of the National League of Cities Centennial Roadshow. This year-long celebration is marking 100 years of working to advance local government and support cities, towns, and villages across the nation. Now, the Roadshow is visiting 100 cities all over the country, showcasing the unique character and resilience of local communities. We caught up with the city's mayor right before their quick tour.
Happy 100 NLC from Mount Rainier, Maryland!
It's a wonderful experience because we get to share one of our partners, a big celebration. They're very key when it came to the American Rescue Fund grants and lobbying to make sure they directly were given to us. So we want to showcase to them the great work that we've done as partners to make sure we put the money where it was needed the most in our community.
And the Roadshow will continue making stops in cities across the country, including Tampa, Florida, where NLC will host its annual City Summit Conference. And some state retirees and other observers are pointing to warning signs about Maryland's $67 billion pension fund, this according to the Baltimore Banner. Now, there are also some concerns and questions about an investment strategy that leans on private equity, real estate, and hedge funds. And according to the Banner, that strategy has led to a subpar performance compared to other states. Some retirees are calling for a simpler, less risky strategy. Now, some 420,000 state retirees depend on the fund. And a recent audit of the University of Maryland Global Campus reveals that tens of millions of dollars were spent by the university with nothing to show for it. An IT project the university pumped $25.1 million into it was outsourced to an independent business. But due to poor oversight of the project in the company, the university had to abandon the project with no results. The audit also uncovered that after $500 million were spent in university advertisement, enrollment continued to decline. Now, UMGC was originally founded to serve those working overseas in the military who want to pursue an education. And it was a historic day on the campus of Bowie State University yesterday. Maryland's oldest HBCU welcomed state leaders, faculty, and a host of others inside the new Martin Luther King Jr. Center. The center also recognizes former student First Lieutenant Richard Collins III, who was murdered back in 2017, just days before his graduation. CTV's Katera Jones was at that ribbon cutting with more details.
Bowie State University turns a new page in its history as it officially opens up its newest building, named after civil rights icon Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
1, 2, 3,
With the cut of a ribbon, the Martin Luther King Jr. Center is now open. The university's newest academic building replaces the old MLK Center, which was built back in 1973.
The learning that's going to happen is very exciting, as all of our learning is across this campus. One of the hallmarks of Bowie State University is experiential learning, making sure we're immersing students not just in a subject matter, but giving them a context for what they're studying.
The center will house some of the liberal arts programs, including the communications and humanities departments and the military science program. The university broke ground on the 192,000 square foot building back in 2022 and also honors the man in which the center is named after.
You will see the dedication of this team in the design and the structure itself, from the pattern, levers, and windows on the facade that depict the sound wave of Dr. King's voice, from his acceptance speech for the Nobel Peace Prize, to the image of Dr. King etched into panels on the first level right here in this entrance.
On panels that go from the second and third floors is an image of former student and ROTC member Richard Collins III. As you may recall, just days before he was set to graduate in 2017, Collins was murdered in a hate crime incident. His parents, who now run the Collins Foundation, spoke at the event.
Today we stand still tender with grief, still aching with the pains of injustice, but also full of hope and gratitude for the way Bowie State University and countless partners have remained committed to honoring, celebrating, and continuing the legacy of our son.
University officials say this 3-story state-of-the-art building cost about $167 million. Katera Jones, CTV News.
All right, Katera, thanks so much. The new MLK Center will also include a 1,500-seat auditorium, television and radio studios, and an amphitheater. And still to come on CTV News, are you bored or lonely with kids back at school? Why not adopt a new family member? I'll have Pet of the Week when we return.
Some nights we slept in our car.
I went to school hungry.
I'd wash up in a gas station bathroom before school.
Through it all, I never lost sight.
Whatever it takes.
I'm going to make a difference.
I am going to college.
I'm going to college.
I am going to college. Perseverance in the face of adversity is what the Horatio Alger Association is all about.
And funding dreams is what they do.
Freedom, mutual respect, and equality of opportunity.
That's my American dream. To pioneer innovative healthcare solutions.
To start my own software company.
To create a sustainable energy company. People say the odds are against you.
And I'm like,
what odds?
Find out more at horatioalger.org.
My 15-year-old son, Ethan, and I had a fun and relaxing morning. We returned home, and Ethan walked to his best friend's house an hour later. I heard the ambulance scream by the street, carrying my beautiful boy. Ethan was shot in the head in his best friend's house with an unsecured gun. He had 0 chance of survival. The father, the gun owner, he stored his 3 guns and bullets in a shoebox.
How do you feel?
That has to be the most horrific experience that a human could ever have.
David, would you give any advice?
First thing you do is not keep your ammunition with your weapons, and that your weapons need to be locked at all times.
The state's Cannabis Administration Director is stepping down. Will Tilburg was appointed last year by Governor Wes Moore to lead the state's transition from a medical cannabis market to an adult use cannabis market. Now, previously, Tilburg served as the executive director of the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission from 2019 to 2023. Tilburg says he's resigning to pursue other career opportunities. He will depart the agency on December 4th. And a criminal justice advocacy group called Worth Rises launched a digital letter archive sharing firsthand experience on slavery in U.S. prisons. The group teamed up with Zealous. Zealous is an online submissions platform to upload letters from over 200 incarcerated workers describing their lack of wages and basic worker protections. Now, the archive is a part of Worth Rises hashtag End the Exception campaign, which seeks to end the exception of the 13th Amendment that still allows slavery to be used as criminal punishment. And you can read the archive of letters online at endtheexception.com. And it's Wednesday, you know what that means. It's time for our pet of the week. Meet Dorothy. She's a 1-year-old German Shepherd mix. She's been at the shelter since July. Animal management says Dorothy is looking for her forever home that will allow her to be her goofy self.
She likes to explore, as well as I think she would love a family that likes to go on walks with her and burn all her energy. When it comes to training, she is still a pup, so it is, you know, she is still going to need a little bit of training as well. You know, I heard she is the gold medal winner for the best Zoomies. So come down and, you know, interact with Dorothy and put an application on her.
And if you would like to adopt Dorothy or any of her furry friends, make sure you call Animal Management at 301-780-7200. And now it's time for our Metro Minute. Starting in September, northbound Baltimore-Washington Parkway will be closing down for bridge maintenance from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. Crews will be working on the NASA Parkway Bridge for removal of the bridge deck. Signage for a nighttime detour will be posted, and the FTC is taking action against Care.com, alleging that the platform deceived caretakers who were looking for jobs while at the same time making it harder for families to cancel paid memberships. Care.com has agreed to a settlement that will require it to turn over $8.5 million to refund consumers harmed by their practices. An inflation-fueled sales slump hit the toy industry in the first half of 2024. However, toy manufacturer Lego said revenue jumped 13%, or about $4.65 billion. The sales may also be attributed to many social media influencers posting their extensive Lego collections, and that wraps up our Metro Minute. Well, after the break, Simon Buggs is joining us with our Wednesday sports page. Simon, yesterday we talked about big news about the newest name for FedEx Field. What can we expect for today?
That's right, Michaela. Still not a big fan of the new name for the stadium, but as far as today, we got some great soccer and football news in store. What's up, sports fans? Stay right there, because coming right up, UMD men's soccer coach Sasso Sorowski touches on his 32nd season being at the helm of the team, and also some great college football news in store. Don't stay right there.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Garner, and I'm working with Save the Children to fight for kids' futures. Poverty impacts 11 million children in the U.S., forcing families to make impossible choices. Every day, parents in rural America are deciding between essentials just to survive: gas or groceries, lunch or laundry, rent or running water. 1 in 5 children are hungry right now because of impossible choices like these. They're more likely to start school significantly behind their peers, and they may never catch up. Growing up in West Virginia, I saw kids living with hunger and poverty, and I've seen the impact Save the Children has on their lives. They give children the nutritious food and learning opportunities they need to thrive, so families don't have to choose. To learn more about how we help kids in rural America, go to SaveTheChildren.org.
What's going on, sports fans? It's time for your Wednesday sports page. We begin with some soccer news as UMD men's soccer coach Sasha Sharovsky is in the midst of his 32nd season at the helm of the team. During his time in College Park, Sharovsky has led the Terps to 3 NCAA titles as well as 15 conference titles. Last season, the Terps didn't have the best year, going 4-8-3, but this season, Sharovsky does believe the team can bounce back.
32 years, I feel like I'm fresh, energetic, just like every single year. This is always an exciting time, and that's simply a number. What matters most now is what we do this year. And coming off a difficult year last year, we're certainly looking to avenge that year. We took it personally last year. We haven't started out great this year, but we're going to finish really strong. This team will be heard from this year.
One player that can help this team improve from last season is forward and Maryland native Jamison Michael, who was one of the roster additions the team had in the offseason. And Sharovsky touched on what makes Michael so special.
Jamison is a very dynamic, electric, creative player in the midfield. Jamison still needs to develop physically for the collegiate game, but he's got all the qualities to have a big impact in our program over his 4 years.
The team will take the field next against Detroit Mercy on Friday. Switching gears to more Terps sports news, the start of football season is only 3 days away. The Terps will take the field against UConn to begin the 2024 season. With UConn being a non-conference opponent, there is some unfamiliarity going into the matchup. But history is on the team's side with non-conference play, as they are 14-1 under head coach Mike Loxley. And Loxley gave his thoughts as to why he thinks his squad has so much success against non-conference teams.
Our standard, how we practice, good players that believe in each other and believe in us as coaches, the support staff, getting through a tough training camp, and we practice the right way, our training room staff, getting our players healthy, the former coaches and players that have worked here that have gone on and maybe doing different things or better things. There's been a lot that has gone into it, the support that I get from, administration, and to win is a culmination of good habits coming together, and we've had good habits in the non-conference.
The Terps and Huskies will take the field at noon. Meanwhile, congratulations to former Terp Bo Brady for making the 53-man roster for the Baltimore Ravens. The undrafted free agent signed with Baltimore shortly after the draft. And the safety made some great plays in the preseason, finishing with 19 tackles, which led the team. CTV Sports caught up with the Maryland native recently, and he says he's excited to play for the team he used to root for as a kid.
It's literally a dream come true. Growing up in Maryland, I was a Ravens fan growing up, and I watched all their seasons, the Super Bowl season, and before that and after that. So I've been a Raven fan since I've been born, and so not just staying in Maryland the whole time, but also getting the opportunity to be on the Ravens and being on such a prolific and a great program organization. It's a dream come true, like I said.
The Ravens open up the season against the Kansas City Chiefs on September 5th. And moving on to the WNBA, the Washington Mystics return to action tonight. Washington will be on the road taking on Angel Reese and the rest of the Chicago Sky at 8 o'clock. And lastly, the Baltimore Orioles started their series off strong against the Los Angeles Dodgers last night with a win. The Birds took down LA 3-2. The two teams will match up again tonight at 10:10. And that wraps up your Wednesday sports page.
All right, thanks, Simon. So going back to the Terps, what are some players that you are looking out for on the Terps football team?
Well, Michaela, I want to start with on the defensive side of the ball. I'm looking at Dante Trader, with him being one of the leaders on the team, and head coach Mike Loxley saying that this is a defensive-minded team. He really wants to lean on defense this year. I'm definitely looking forward to see what he can do and how he can step up this season. And also, I'm looking at Ty Felton as well, a wide receiver on the offensive side of the ball. He's very talented, a big playmaker. I think he can have a solid season as well for the Terps.
Nice. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get a final look at our 3-day weather forecast. Tonight, we're expecting scattered storms after 8 p.m. tomorrow. Make sure you grab your umbrella on the way out. We're looking at a high of 85, and we also have a 50% chance of rain in the afternoon. Friday, it's going to be in the high of 70s, but more rain is expected. Saturday, more rain and possible thunderstorms. We're looking at a high of 88 and a low of 71. And finally, for our community calendar, DMV native actor and comedian Earthquake will be at the MGM National Harbor this Friday and Saturday. After 11 years in the Air Force, Earthquake actually developed his comedy career working as a stand-up comedian and was even featured on the 1997 Def Comedy Jam Tour. Showtime is 8 p.m. on both nights, but for more information or to buy tickets, visit Ticketmaster.com. And that wraps up for CTV News. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Have a good night.
Everybody.